I'm so excited about this session because it's an opportunity to talk about how to leverage best-in-class for-profit technology and ways of working to raise money to drive impact around the world. And that is why I get up in the morning. That excites me so much. I can't even tell you. My excitement drives the rest of the CauseMic Cruise team crazy. So I'm Matt. I lead the crew here at CauseMic. For the last 11 years, I've been doing this. I've been helping nonprofits select and implement best-in-class technology. But before CauseMic, I led fundraising at a nonprofit called Team Rubicon, where we scaled from about $275,000 to $51 million in annual revenue over a 7-year period. And I know it doesn't look like it because I have a baby face and I have a full head of hair, and somebody told me earlier I only have a couple of grays and that I could pass for in my 20s. But I appreciate that. That's very flattering. But the way that we did that was we looked to for-profit companies for inspiration. We were like, how could we do, to be honest, at the time it was Chewy.com. I went to a conference put on by Salesforce called Dreamforce, and it was right in the thick 2012 Hurricane Sandy. It was crazy. We were in the Rockaways. We were mucking out homes. We were stretched to the limit. And this guy came up to us and he said to Jake Wood, our co-founder who was standing there with me, he said, man, who are you guys? Oh, we're Team Rubicon. We use these military veterans to help respond to disaster. And this guy said, wow, cool. I really like what you did with my brother's house down the way. And what if I gave you $1 million tomorrow? What could you do? And Jake said, we could have 1,000 boots on the ground in 48 hours. And I was like, oh my God, we have 200 volunteers. Like, not here in general, right? So to get 1,000 boots on the ground, we needed like, I don't know, 20,000 volunteers, right? To get you to fly to the Rockaways and, whatever. So that is where I got it from, for those of you who work at CauseMic. But yeah, it was a bold and ambitious, and it was crazy. And I went to Dreamforce because in it all, I was trying to also learn and figure out what was going on. And I learned that Chewy.com had leveraged this tool called Salesforce in order to scale personalized engagement, to send portraits of people's pets to their most loyal customers. And I was like, that is cool. What if we could use that kind of technology to engage our donors, to make them feel special, to make them feel cool? And a year later, we were doing the keynote at Dreamforce, talking about how we had used Sales Cloud to effectively scale from around $750,000 to $3.5 million in revenue over the course of that year. And that was the beginning of this journey. And so why am I talking about Salesforce? Well, a lot of orgs here are on Salesforce and they integrate with HubSpot. But the other thing is we are relentlessly looking for what is working, what is really working for nonprofits now, what's really working for sales organizations now. And that is actually what I want to talk about today, is that things are changing in the selling environment. They're changing really quickly, really, really fast. And nonprofits, we do not have an option. We have to keep up with it. Franny talked about Amazon is where our donors are going. They're like the one-click checkout. That's the experience that they expect from us as nonprofit fundraisers, as marketers. And so what are some of these big trends? What's happening in the space that I want everyone here to really pay attention to? The reality is that outbound is so much smarter than it used to be. It is not actually louder. That we need to be really connecting with the right people, not with tons of people. That from a sales perspective, from a fundraiser, from a frontline fundraiser perspective, we really need to look at that. And mass appeals, they're losing effectiveness. Email on the decline, mass, pray and spray, send the same message to everybody. It's just not working. And we really need to use donor data and segmentation to send tailored custom messages to our audience. The second thing is that the donor or the buyer of our mission is the one who is directing where they want their gift to go. They're directing their experience. They're the ones who are in the driver's seat. And we have to set things up so that they can tell us what they're interested in and then serve them content that really matters to them. The next thing is that AI and automation are driving efficiency for sales teams everywhere. And so many of the features that I'm going to talk about here today within HubSpot are AI powered, and they are helping you figure out where to focus your time, your energy, your effort, what to share. And this is, in my opinion, non-negotiable. Like, if you are not seriously considering leveraging AI to figure out where your team should be spending time, then I fear you will be out of business. And I say out of business, like, I know we're in the business of having impact, but we are in the business, right? So we need money, we have to have money. And if you're not doing this, guaranteed your competition, the people who go to the Donor Experience Summit that are put on by Fundraise Up, they're doing this. They're using this technology. So you're competing against other nonprofits and also for-profits for their time. Lastly, total alignment between sales and marketing is now non-negotiable. So fundraisers and marketing teams have to be in close coordination with each other, talking about what content is moving the needle, what's working, what is it that is inspiring a donor from a frontline fundraising perspective, what's moving the needle, so that marketing can make sure that the story that's being told really aligns with what motivates them to give. This was something that I would say was negotiable just a few years ago, but because of the technology that you all are leveraging, the power of HubSpot and the different hubs that are so integrated, you as a business, as an organization, as a team, have to change the way that you're working to align with this technology, or you're investing in something from a tech stack perspective that you're not fully utilizing, you're not really taking full advantage of. So those are some things. So HubSpot can really, out of the box, help you adopt some of these best practices, which is really cool. That's what it's meant to do. But we need to change our way of working to make that happen. And for this, I actually want to share a fictional story of an organization. This is Laura. This person is Laura, by the way. Jen, Laura, and I used to work together at Team Rubicon. But today, Laura is a major gift officer at Ocean Lovers, this made-up nonprofit that has a very similar mission to Surfrider Foundation, because that makes it easy for me to talk about without doing too much prep work. Laura's at Ocean Lovers, and she has a portfolio of major donors, about 150 of them, and they give $10,000 or more. That's who she's really targeting. So she is a frontline fundraiser with a portfolio, and for this, we actually are going to walk through what her experience is like using HubSpot versus the dreaded dun Razor's Edge. Has anyone used Razor's Edge before? Back to the Future. Yes. Any clap if you're a huge fan. Okay, that was the same reaction of lunch in Madison at the last conference I was at, so yeah, okay, cool. There's always one, just one. No, just kidding. Laura, though, she was feeling super frustrated. She was frustrated because her donors, these folks were oftentimes included in marketing appeals, and they were her major donors. She's like, why do they continue to send this out? What the heck is going on? I told them not to include this. What the heck is going on? Two, just documenting the process of moving a donor from interested to really like stewarding them, understanding their interests and their likes and all the meetings. It was just so tricky. It was so cumbersome. It took so much time to log the activity that Laura said, I'm not doing it. Forget it. I'm keeping it in my notebook. And then she was frustrated that they were getting emailed, but the data wasn't there. So everybody was just pissed. Everybody. Also, she never knew who to focus on. She didn't know which of the donors were worth her time. She didn't know which of the ones were expressing and showing and demonstrating an interest in Ocean Lovers. She wasn't sure because they weren't tracking any of that. But now, let's follow Laura on her major donor trip to New York City, powered by HubSpot instead of Razor's Edge. So a lot of these are screenshots. They're fake. They don't relate, but they do show the sequence. So just a couple of weeks out from her trip, Laura, she creates this sequence, and what she's doing is she's putting her top leads into this sequence to try and get them to meet up with her when she goes to New York. So she's already identified people who are warm leads, who are interested, who are engaging in the content, who are connected with the cause. And she's saying, hey, I'm coming to New York. I would really like to meet up with you. And of all the people that she puts through the sequence, 4 donors and 2 prospects actually take the bait. They are willing to let her take them to coffee so that she could ask them for money in exchange for a feeling, which is the hardest sell you'll ever have to make in your life. So one of these is Jack. Jack is among these, and this is what it's like to build a sequence inside HubSpot. You can do this very easily, and if you have Katya, you can call Katya and say, hey, can you double check my work and make sure that this is right? I'm speaking from personal experience. And they were like, yeah, this is right, and I appreciate you calling. So it was both easy, but also good to check. So a couple weeks out. So she's able to see that Jack has attended last quarter's quarterly call with their program team where they go over what are some of the big projects coming up. What are some of the water testing projects that they're doing in Rockaway? And so she was able to see that Jack actually went to that. And so that was actually what drove his lead score to get better and better, to show that he was more and more interested in making a contribution, or at least in the work that they were doing. She also noticed that he visited the Planned Giving page to check out the Planned Giving program, and we fired off an email auto-magically, but Jack didn't open that email. He didn't actually engage with the content that went with him after. But this was really useful information for Laura because she understands what it was that he was motivated in terms of the type of content around the program, and that he is at least considering or thinking about planned gifts, but maybe he wasn't interested enough to open, or maybe there's something else going on. Still, we're just a couple of weeks out. She also noticed that Jack works for Microsoft, and she can see right within the system that Microsoft actually has a $15,000 matching gift. So she puts that as her target. I want to get a $15,000 gift from Jack when I'm with him in New York, because I know that that's an easy way to turn this into a $30,000 gift. And she can see all of this without wondering, plugging around, clicking around. It's just really simple, really easy to find. Because let's face it, Laura is a relationships person. This is a confession of myself. She is not a detail person who's keeping track of everything easily in the system. No. So we're still a couple weeks out, and Laura, because these people were added to the sequence, it actually tags Mary on Laura's team to do some deeper prospect research on these 6 people coming up. And what's really cool about the workspace within Sales Hub is you have access to this prospecting tool. And when you log in and you look at it, it tells you exactly how to spend your time that day. It says, these are the people that you should focus on. These are the tasks that are assigned to you. This is what needs to get done. And so Mary knows that she actually needs to do some deep prospect research on these 6 people, and it's assigned to her easily through this sequence. So now we're just a week out, and all 6 of these prospects have been enrolled in this sequence, and this sequence is designed to really maximize Laura's time on the ground, to make the most of her time while she's there. So a text gets sent out to Jack with an update on a legislation that was passed in New York to preserve public access to Rockaway Beach. So they're gonna preserve access to it. This legislation was work that they had talked about in that meeting that happened at the quarter, and it was local, so get this text before I go just to say, hey Jack, I thought you'd be excited about this. This is something you're interested in. A confirmation email and a reminder text are sent with meetup details about where they're supposed to meet up in the city. This is super helpful. Speaking from somebody from experience, sometimes people don't show to meetings. So it's really helpful to say, hey, this is when, just a reminder, we're gonna meet, and then shoot that text message over that says, I'm really looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. This can all happen, again, kind of auto-magically. And also, this I kind of pulled from our own experience here, but a onesie is given to Laura along with a card for Jack because the deeper research realized that, oh wow, Jack just had a newborn. And so this organization has these really cool future do-gooder onesies, and that was given to Laura along with a card. So now she's super empowered to go out there and have a really meaningful conversation with Jack, and all this can happen in advance. Now she's in the city. She takes this meeting. The meeting goes super well. But this is one of many meetings that Laura is having. And she has to go from one part of the city and lower to like the Upper East Side, and she's gonna take the train to get there. And so right from within the HubSpot app, she's able to create the deal that speaks to what it was that they were gonna fund. And she's able to log this meeting, quickly add notes about what it was that they discussed, and she's able to send a follow-up and actually task Mary, who's working on the back end, to send a handwritten card out to Jack. She's able to do all of this from within this app, which is really cool. She's able to do it on the go, on the subway, and it's not difficult, it's not challenging. And this is really, really helpful for her, because in the past she would have to like keep it down, take a photo of her notebook, and things would get lost and things were crazy. Okay, so now a week later, Laura actually sends Jack an email to follow up, and because they're using Gmail, this is super easy. She's got HubSpot integrated with her Gmail, and a couple of features that are highlighted up here that are just so awesome and so useful, and you can see that we use it here because it says Portland Nonprofit HubSpot Summit, invite number 3. That is a template that I created when I was inviting people to come here. But Laura would actually have access to all of the templates that are used by the fundraising team, that created by her. You can easily just plug those in. Also, you can book a meeting, so if she wanted to, she could put a meeting in there and allow Jack to easily schedule with her, very simply. Also, create tasks. I use this feature all the time. The ability, when you're sending the email, to just go ahead and create a task so that, hey, I gotta follow up with this person in the future. You can set the date, you can assign it to somebody else, you can do a reminder, and you can log and track all of this activity without leaving Gmail, which is super helpful. It's really quick and easy, and it allows her to do all of this just a week later. So now what happens is, because they're using for-profit best practices, they actually have a prospecting meeting once a month where they go over all of their open donations. And they talk about, as a major gifts team, hey, what's going on? What are some of the opportunities? Marketing's there. They're hearing. What are the various different deals that are open, that are coming up? What are some things? And they're discussing, hey, what are some things that could be done in order to move this donation forward, to get this donation committed, to get it pledged, to ultimately get it donated. And so you're able to easily, Laura's able to easily move the open deal or donation from one location to the next. Also, that reminds me, very exciting news is that HubSpot actually is coming out with the ability to name these objects. So instead of deals, it'll be donations. And you can name them after things that matter to nonprofits, so that's cool. But for now, yes, snaps. For now, it's a deal, and you move it, and as you move it from one stage to the next, you can also trigger all these really cool sequences or tasks and things like that, so that's really powerful as well. So 6 weeks after this, Laura actually sends an email to Jack, asking Jack to make a $15,000 contribution, and she reminds him that Microsoft offers a $15,000 match. And because he uses Fundraise Up, it's super easy, very simple. I'm not just saying that because they sponsored this, but we only invited sponsors that we believe in. So platforms that actually do amazing work. So just a plug for Fundraise Up team. So yeah, basically super easy, so simple, easy to make the contribution. Now, fast forward 12 weeks into the future, and Laura notices, because she's using that prospecting tool that I talked about, that 2 of the people that she met with in New York City have literally not engaged with anything. They have been disengaged. They're not interested in her follow-up. They're ghosting her. And what is she supposed to do about this? Well, she's supposed to disqualify the lead. Going back to like using AI and automation in order to figure out where you should be spending your time, this is a for-profit tactic is, hey, when this person's disqualified, when they're not ready to make a purchase, we have to disqualify them. They're not actually responding to any of the content. But that doesn't mean that they won't be in the future. It just means that right now, they're not interested in making a contribution. So she enrolls them in a re-engagement sequence that is gonna fire off in 6 months. So give it a little bit of time, give it a little bit of a break. And then I want a personalized sequence to come from Laura that looks like it's from her email that is re-engaging those people. But in the meantime, while that personal sequence is holding back and waiting to get fired off, she subscribes them to programmatic updates from the marketing team. So they're still gonna get those marketing touch points throughout the process, but this no longer is cluttering up Laura's lead pipeline. It's not a contact that she needs to be really focused on. And by using this AI and automation, someone like Laura can actually manage a portfolio that's much larger, because it's really challenging for a major gift officer to handle a portfolio of hundreds and hundreds of people if you're having to just engage with all of them all the time. But if you use AI and automation and you use HubSpot Sales Hub, you can actually manage a much larger portfolio and instead use the different intelligence that you're getting in order to identify, who should I spend time with today? Who should I focus on today? So because she's on HubSpot, she isn't just fundraising, she's really building this lasting relationship that feels like it's personalized for Jack, that feels like it's personalized for these contacts. It feels like she's recognizing where that donor is at. So, what questions might you have about Sales Hub, if any? There's a lot of tools that are good for that. Sal, is double the donation still the one that you all prefer at Fundraise Up for identifying the various matching gifts?
They have like 97% market share, so yeah.
Yeah, double the donation. He's from New York, don't mind him. He's a grouch. He'll be great up in a couple of bit. Yeah, so double the donation. It's really good. They have all the data available that show exactly how much the match is for, what increment, and the frequency as well. And then if they are using the tool, it can actually prompt it as well. So meaning when they're making the donation, it can prompt them to double up. Yeah. Yeah, you can still do that for sure. Yeah. It automatically populates that based on the domain. Great question. In my experience, particularly with major donors, it's very rare for somebody to go from brand new in your database to a inside the major donor profile, like portfolio that Laura would own, right? It's much more likely that this person was already subscribed and that you're actually, in my experience, the major gift officer is saying, hey, I want to put a pause on the marketing emails. Do not send, I'm seeing Riley's like, absolutely, yes. So like say, hey, pause, don't send these marketing emails to these donors. I'm actually gonna send them personalized updates. So in this instance, the donor will have already subscribed to the content. It's just that Laura is removing them from her focus group and saying, hey, go ahead and send them. We do not recommend that it's illegal. You should not be, well, it depends on the rules. But yeah, it's gray. It depends on where you're operating. It depends on where you're operating. But you should not subscribe people who have not subscribed to your content. That's not what I'm recommending. I'm actually saying in this case, resubscribe them into those marketing updates and remove them from the personalized ones. So if you have a target list of prospects from corporate partners, hopefully you've already thought up like by prioritizing which corporate partners have strong brand alignment or mission alignment and potentially connections. I would actually recommend going to LinkedIn Sales Navigator for that initial outreach to those people. If you happen to have their email address, you could also hit them up on email as well as LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I wouldn't recommend just subscribing them to your content. I think that should definitely come up in the meeting. Like that you should, in that conversation, have a sense of how interested is this person, which of the content pillars are they most interested in, if it's not just a single journey, but it's a couple of different pillars. And I would recommend asking like, hey, could we subscribe you to our newsletter? I'd love to send you some information, you know, and then you can get verbal commitment and you can check that box when you're subscribing them.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.